Hey, check up. Let's play some D. Welcome to episode 41 of Play Some D. And as always, it's your boy, Coach D, in his house, getting ready for an action packed episode. I definitely wanted to do this days before, but I didn't just know my time constraints, things of that nature, and I had to get the Super Bowl in as 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 quickly as possible around Super Bowl activities. So you want to do it, I want to talk about it where it's fresh in my brain. It feels right. You feel it in your soul when you talk about it right after it happened. And I should have just did at least I could have just did this part right after the Super Bowl because I had some feelings, but I also think I think it's very very important for things to digest before you talk about them in some kind of, I don't know, analytical manner. That's the thing with Twitter, is that everything's so instant that you can just talk about it without even thinking about it or realizing why something did or didn't happen. But obviously it's 41, and the main goal here, the main topic obviously is the biggest event in the United States every year, and it's Super Bowl LVI, which is 56. And I'll talk about the commercials as well. That's second quarter. I'll run those back, and then there's the thing with the U.S. Canada ambassador bridge protest. I'm gonna talk about that too, and I want to talk about uh, Amazon Games published a Smiley. They're called Smiley Games, I believe. I think it's called Smiley Games. Smiley Gate RPG, Smiley Gate Group. They created a game called Lost Ark. It's the big game out currently. It's been released, but just released in the United States. And I'm just gonna do a quick little review, or maybe a long little review, or long big review, or if I want to talk about Lost Ark. So that's what I'm gonna do. Super Bowl, Lost Ark, a little protest, and you know how we do it. Play some D. Variety, spice of life. I mean, that's the four quarters. I mean, I could have went overtime. It's the Russia United States stuff going on that I definitely could talk about. I would, if I talked about that, that would be just a. I mean, I don't know where I would go with that topic, so I may save it for later. Hold off on it. Number of different things. Ben Simmons got traded. Kind of was gonna talk about that, but I'll probably I'll probably hold off. Don't really. It's kind of self-explanatory. I think it's safe to say it's self-explanatory. But let me get going into this baby. If you don't mind, drop a like, hit that sub button. Comments, love comments. We all love comments. It's it's what's made the internet. I mean, as they always say. Well, now it's different now, but back in the day, we used to say, comments and porn made the internet, but comments is still up there, and I'm sure most people porn is too. So let me get this going. Tip this baby off. Jump ball, coin flip, whatever. What they do in baseball to start the game off? I think they just do that. Somebody comes out and throws the first pitch or something like that. So stupid. Actually, that's kind of cool. Actually, throwing out the first pitch of baseball isn't having somebody come and do that. It's actually a pretty fun watch. It's actually more entertaining in the game sometimes. So that's that. Starting off Super Bowl 56. It was to start. It was an underwhelming game. The first half was a little entertaining. I would say. Then once Odell got hurt, it changed the outlook of the game. But if he would have stayed in the game, I feel like the Rams would have controlled it a little bit better. It felt like the whole time the Bengals really weren't going to win the game. They did get the one. If that's an OPI, the Bengals may drive down there and get a field goal, but they don't score that fast, and they may not score that touchdown. Period. It's him and High. What if, obviously, but that was a offensive pass interference, so that was a big play that really never should have happened. So you take that out, And the Rams pretty much controlled the game. Had OBJ stayed in the game, he would have created a whole different dynamic. I think the Rams do run away with it. They do cover that spread. Just for anybody out there, I did like Rams in a big win, and I wasn't really sure about the over. I didn't know how much the Bengals would be able to score, given the fact that just not being able to protect Burrow. So at the first half, it was, I wouldn't say it was filling out. I mean, I feel like you saw that the Rams were the better team on almost on both sides of the ball, and the Bengals were kind of just hoping for something to pop off, and I thought that was going to be their two best players or two best playmakers. Joe Mixon and Jamar Chase needed to get the ball, and I feel like they just didn't get the ball enough. Joe Mixon have 15 carries for 72 yards. And and that's the guy that should have been getting the ball. I mean, that's really the guy that should definitely have been getting the ball more. And I was gonna hold off on talking about this, but the 3rd and 1, the carry goes to Samaj P. Ryan, which is just unbelievable that's what the Bengals decided they wanted to do for their Super Bowl. You give it to your best player. I would argue Joe Mixon might be their best player. I mean, I think it's real close between Joe, and Jamar. Like, I think those guys, those are their best players. Those three guys. Obviously, Joe Burrow's gonna have the ball, but Joe Mixon has to be that. I mean, that's the only running back, unless he's hurt. I don't know if he got hurt. I haven't heard anything about it. But unless Joe Mixon is hurt, there's no way you put Samaj P. Ryan on the field and you run the ball with your best running back. That's just ridiculous. So that was the first thing I wanted to say. So back to the first half, you felt like it was 10-13, but you felt like the Rams could have been up maybe a little bit more. The Bengals could, whatever. Second half, the game just got incredibly boring, given the fact that the Rams only had one guy to throw the ball to. I mean, that the tight end, their tight end played really well. I think it's the Bryson Hopkins. Those 4 catches with 47 yards were really, really big time catches. That's 11.8 yards a catch, and he caught some really important balls. But Cooper Kupp was literally the only thing that Matthew Stafford felt comfortable throwing it to and wanted to throw it to. So you come out to have big play, then next play is a turnover. Bengals needed to score on that, but then that's when that adjustment made. They shifted the line. They put somebody over the center. Aaron Donald was one-on-one, and it was causing a lot of issues for them. And the Bengals never really adjusted or even really wanted to. I just thought they would. It looked like they felt like they would just be able to outplay make them. I think that's what the Bengals thought, that they would keep the lead and just kind of manage it when they should have been running the ball way more. I thought kind of jumping on that clock a little bit more. The game lasted a nice bit of time, and there weren't really any penalties. The Rams couldn't run the ball, so you knew they were throwing it. So the Bengals had the advantage. Just the Rams just had the better players, and the Bengals line is really, really bad. And that was the difference. And that was literally the difference in the game. If the Bengals line was a little bit better, they run it a little bit better, and they close it out, especially with, once Odell went down, it kind of evened things out, especially on the Bengals defense. The Bengals defense is very, very iffy. Their DBs are hit and miss. They do make plays, but as we saw at the end, Cooper Kupp literally just took over, and they really had no answer when in all honesty, I would have had. I mean, anybody else has to catch the ball. I mean, I probably have some kind of bracket coverage. In basketball, we call it boxing one. You literally man up, Kupp with somebody either bracketing the inside or the outside of him. with that, whoever's guarding him to shade, whoever's the faster guy would shade over the top so he doesn't beat you deep, and then you let somebody else beat you. But they did a little bit of that, and Matthew kind of just forced it in there. But he caught some balls where I think the one over the middle, I don't know if that was a no look or what. That no look stuff is whatever. You can see what whatever. Not gonna talk about that, but that pass when he was really really open, that was inexcusable. I mean, it should have been somebody like I said. Literally, I'll leave a whole zone wide open. You could pass to Darrell Henderson or Cam Akers out the backfield, but I'm not having a guy match that with Cooper Kupp all fourth quarter when literally that's the own. So the other thing too is that here's coach talking about what he wouldn't have done. Coaches on the sidelines, a lot of different voices. Everybody's nervous. Everybody wants to win. There's butterflies getting your stomach. So who knows what I would have did? I maybe would have ran the ball with some IJP Ryan too. Who knows? That's a lie. I would have never done that. I promise you that. But the game was just on my tangent. Went off the rails there. The game was just very underwhelming. The Bengals, in my opinion, just didn't belong there. And once the Rams lost Odell, you lost that flash. You almost felt like the Rams didn't belong there either, to be quite honest with you. That defense is solid. I wouldn't say Jalen Ramsey got torched, but he was definitely getting picked on for sure. He looked a little slow. He looked slower than the Bengals receivers, that's for sure. But his skill set is still bar none. But he did look a little bit slow out there last night. And I think Patrick Mahomes is probably kicking himself at home because I think they probably win a pretty easy Super Bowl had Kansas City been there. I just think the Rams, obviously, Odell getting hurt changes everything, and you don't know if he gets hurt if they play Kansas City. But I still think that Kansas City would have been much, I think they were better than them. It would have been hard for the Rams to contain them the whole game. They held the Bengals down. That's mainly because, like I said, line. Joe was sacked 7 times. That's sickening. And I don't think he was sacked maybe once in the first half. All those came in like a period of time where the game literally slugged down. And then what made it also much more underwhelming is that the whole game were penalty free for the most part. Couple of things that didn't really affect the actual play, and then the refs rear their ugly head at the end, where I think you just gotta unless it's blatant, a grab, a snatch, a pullback, you just gotta let the players play, and I think the players feel that, and to bail them out with call after call and some weird stuff, and then they realize that, they did owe the Rams a call back, but they should have given them that. I don't know. Not there on that call, and then after that, it was like a double penalty with holding because he caught the touchdown, and they wasn't never interested in watching the game. I did watch most of the game. I was dozing off in instances, but I wanted to watch it because I wanted to be able to do a segment on this. I wanted to be able to do this with the Super Bowl, talk about it, everything I saw. I saw everything. I was dozing off, and I didn't see all the commercials because we'll talk about that in coming up next. Didn't see all the commercials, but really had no interest to. But didn't have interest in this game. It turned out to not be that great of a game. The end was cool. The end was cool to see. I root for Aaron Donald. He's a hard-working player. It's cool to see Matthews. It's cool to see either of the teams winning was fine with me. It was nice to see some late game possibilities after the game being such a downer. Blowout games are underwhelming too, but when a certain team like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers do what they were supposed to do last year, and Kansas City was down bad on their tackles, and the Bucks took total advantage of it, and that did that made the game. It wasn't underwhelming. It was just they did what they were supposed to do. They handled their business. Where both teams here, obviously the Odell injury was big. It was a big deal. That's can't understate that. But both teams here just were like, I don't know if it was trying not to lose the game or what, but it just, the feeling was just, ugh. It was just, I just don't think it was a good football game, especially after some of the games we saw in the playoffs, and that may have spoiled us, me, whoever. Some people may think this was a great game. I did see Shannon Sharp mention, I don't know if he was just saying it, but I saw him on the herd saying it was a phenomenal game. I don't think he meant that. I think he probably meant a phenomenal ending. The game itself just was not entertaining whatsoever, in my opinion. I can go on. Almost was gonna do this episode 41 is all Super Bowl episode, because I could probably talk for about 30 minutes about the game, breaking down the game, and then quarter number 2, which is the Super Bowl commercials, and I can talk about them for 30 minutes, but I'm not. But the Super Bowl commercials were god awful. It was some funny ones. There's funny aspects of some stuff, the concepts of them. But immediately when you put all celebrities in all the commercials, it's an immediate turnoff for me. And it really should be an immediate turnoff for everybody, because it is getting out of hand. The celebrity craze, and if that's what these companies think that we want to see other celebrities make us want to eat Uber Eats or buy a Silverado or eat Doritos. I don't even know if it was a celebrity in Doritos commercial. Maybe it wasn't the Flamin' Hot one, or just celebrity commercials. If it reared its ugly head in last year's commercials, but last year's it made sense because it was a pandemic, getting people to film. It was easier. I was more okay with it last year because you can get with that one person in there where you don't have to be around a bunch of people, and I kind of understood last year. This year, it's inexcusable. The actors, those people are fine, totally rich. They don't need more money from the companies and the spots, and there's people out there that, and I mentioned this a little over a year ago, my first episode, 41, play some D's ago, or 40, however you want to. I talked about it. I talked about the acters that just do commercials, and they would appreciate to be able to be commercial actors and act in some Super Bowl commercials. Once in a lifetime, it'll be cool. Anybody will want to do that. That's their gig. That's their job. They love it. To give the actors and celebrities just all this love and attention, and then expect that that's going to sell the product to the consumer is it's a bit scary to me, and I think it has to stop. I think people need to, and I don't think people really care or are going to look at it anyway close to me. They probably look at it as commercials. They're celebrities, and people love celebrities. So maybe most people may not even care about it. They just care about the entertainment value of the commercial. But instantly I'm turned off when I see just a plethora, all the celebs you can pile into, $1 million ads, and they get to act or be goofy or do whatever in those commercials. I just think it's wrong, and I think it's bad for the grand scope of the Super Bowl too, because we talked about the tickets last episode. They were astronomical prices. I did see on Saturday, I saw some tickets as cheap as $2,400, which was actually pretty darn crazy. But just the whole aspect of the Super Bowl being some kind of elitist, prized event leads us down a very slippery slope with our sports, things that entertain us, and 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 I don't it's hard to gauge the temperature of what people like or want, but you can easily see it becoming a huge turnoff to people, and people not. I think 100. I think I just heard that about 100, close to 100 million people watch the game. It could be a turnoff for some people. It's absolutely a turnoff for me too. And you got the Flores allegations, which I spoke about in episode 40 as well. There'll be one dark skin, one black African American coach coaching the NFL, head coach this year. The McDonald guy from 49ers is whatever. But there'll be Mike Tomlin will be the only that's a turnoff for me. That's a whole different topic. But when you start to pile on this stuff and just say this is what the NFL is, this is what our sports is, and not to just put it on the NFL, but if all the big events, all the most important things that people like to do to entertain them, if that's where we're funneling it to the most quote unquote important people with the most money, people with the most following, that's not majority of people in the United States. I think things should start to cater a little bit more back to the regular folks, or regular folks may turn their heads somewhere else. Maybe not, but that's how I feel about it. And that's me personally, is that I was not paying attention to many of the commercials. I rewatched some of the ones that I was just interested in on YouTube, like the Uber Eats one, Zendaya's commercial. But celebrity field commercials and trailers on the Super Bowl. There was a time where the Super Bowl commercials were really good with just regular people or regular actors and quite creative. They weren't, maybe they were always incredibly expensive. I think I heard, I wanted to say that it was my on the radio, and I don't know the numbers of how true it was, but I think like some ads would be upwards to, I don't know, millions of dollars. Where I thought at one point, I feel like at one point, I don't know, 5 to 10 years ago, I think like the most expensive Super Bowl commercial like $1 million. Now we're talking multi-million dollars for a Super Bowl commercial. I think something has to be toned back down. I don't know how or when or if it will, or if people even care about it, but I don't like it one bit. Not one bit. Didn't like a Super Bowl. Didn't like the commercials. Did I giggle at some of them? Yes. When you got, I don't know, probably 30-something minutes of something, you're going to, I think there's something in there that you have to enjoy. 30 different segments or however many commercials, you're gonna like something. You're gonna find something to giggle at. But overall, it was just Super Bowl commercials were not it. Celebrities gotta get out of there. At least on that mass scale, you could definitely throw some celebs in there every now and then, but just every single commercial is it ain't right. It ain't cool, and they need to get back to that creative spirit, and maybe it will after COVID completely, doesn't take over sets and protocol and all that good stuff. So we'll see. That second quarter, once again, I could have talked for 30 minutes. Looks like I'm pretty darn close to that. So I'll just continue to move on. Halftime show. Perfect segue for my halftime for the Super Bowl halftime show. Not much to talk about. It was good. The 50 Cent, I knew somebody was going to show up. Thought it would be like a Tupac hologram, but they went 50 Cent. And everybody was good. That's the best way I can put it. Greatest halftime show ever. I will have to go rewatch some of the better ones, but it's definitely up there. It's definitely one of the better halftime shows, mostly because of the nostalgia, good songs. I mean, big multi-million-dollar artists. I mean, Eminem's probably is the biggest rapper, arguably of all time. Dr. Dre, biggest music exec or whatever you want to call him. He's up there right with Eminem. He found Eminem, then they found 50. And whoever found 50, Snoop, one of the biggest rappers of all time. Kendrick, one of the best newcomers. I'm not sure if he's done or not or what, but people love Kendrick in Los Angeles. Mary J. Blige, one of the biggest R&B artists ever. You get it. I mean, that's going to they didn't have to do anything crazy. They really didn't. The map was awesome on the ground. The set was awesome. They didn't have to do nothing crazy. They put a little bit of nuance in it, made it creative, and got a really good halftime show. So my halftime show, we're talking about their halftime show, and it's wrapped up in a nice ball of it was a good halftime show. Third quarter is the U.S. Canada bridge protest. As of today, it's been clear, it's reopened, but the protesters were fighting to end COVID restrictions, and basically what I want to talk about is just the smartness of this. It was very, very smart to them to do this here, because the Ambassador Bridge in Windsor, Ontario, it carries about 360 million a day in two-way cargoes, 25% of the value of all U.S. and Canada goods traded. Now, just before I started, I was listening to somebody talk about possible terrorists attacking it and how important this thing is. So when you want to protest something, I'm a firm believer. Protest all day long. If you're upset about something, you can use that for sure. But I think at some point, when you really want to make your point, you got to make your point. You're gonna have to go. You're really gonna have to dig deep and go to where it really hurts. And in almost every instances, you gotta go after somebody's pockets. And when you get in somebody's pockets, whether they hear you, do something about it, whatever, you're noticed. You're not just somebody just walking up the street with a sign, or a large gathering of people that, want some change and have some initiative. You gotta, when you hit people in the pockets, I always said if people really want to change, especially like a United States setting, everybody would just sit down and not go to work. They're gonna hear the demands of people if people said we're not coming to work until this is fixed. Obviously, that'll never happen because everybody's not on the same page. Everybody will never be on the same page. As they say, you can never make everybody happy. But in theory, if a group of people did have a specific goal, you have to go and use that power of those people to affect the most important thing you can, without just standing outside of CVS or shutting down, or standing on a busy block with signs and marching up and down the street. It'll get you somewhere, but it won't get you nowhere. It's like this. These people, this is for COVID, so they're going to hear them out. I mean, in almost every instance, nobody thinks that COVID is going to hamper everybody forever. In some way, shape, or form, people will be moving forward with COVID, whether it's with vaccines or just protections or whatever the case may be. So the Canadian government, understanding what they want and what they'll do to affect what they want, they'll think about different policies and how they do things. And that's just the reality of it. Whether it happens or not, they'll look at it. This is serious. I mean, this is pretty important. Windsor police told reports 20 to 30 arrests have been made. 50 vehicles, cruisers, armored cars. You know, they brought they brought the cops out. I mean, originally it was called the Freedom Convoy. Started in Ottawa by Canadian truckers opposing the vaccine or quarantine mandate. It was the 17th day of Sunday, but it morphed into a rally point against broader COVID-19 carbon tax. Once you start seeing something that really matters or something that's really important, people start to coagulate right up in it, and it starts to create a little buzz, and that buzz, as of now, it's been buzzed because they're like, we see what y'all doing. It can't go on forever, and we hear your demands, we hear what you're talking about, but you gotta get up out of here, and we'll reconsider. Obviously, the longevity of it, the organization, all that stuff. Sometimes that can't always happen, and sometimes people do have these good ideas, and they just don't manifest like this one did. But this one did, because people have such strong values towards that. So the main thing I was saying, when people protest, I'm not mad at it. Do your thing, do what you feel like you need to do. But I think when you really want something done, you gotta go. I think this will set a precedent for what people may want to do with further protests all over the world. Is that you gotta go hit them where it hurts. You hit them where it hurts, you got a much better chance. I'm saying you're going to get what you want, but you got a much better chance of getting somewhere than just walking up and down the street with some signs on social media. My opinion, but I think it's very valid and has a good argument, as we see in this case. On to the fourth quarter, and the fourth quarter, for the most part, over here at Play Some D, we had to have a little fun. I haven't talked about a video game in a while. I think I've only talked about 2 video games in Play Some D in 40-something episodes. I consider myself a gamer, and I've only talked about Call of Duty and another Amazon game, New World. And now I'm going to talk about another Amazon game. It's not technically an Amazon game. They're the publisher, but this is Lost Ark. And it originally released in December 4th, 2019 in the South Korean region. I believe that's where Smileygate is. So it's been out for a while, and they've had some time to iron on it. But it was released in the U.S. for early access on the 8th, and then released free to play. You had to buy a little pack or whatever to play on the 8th. Then on the 11th, it released free to play. The game, it's a multiplayer online action role playing game, MMORPG. I'm a first person shooter guy and a sports guy. Oh no, I talked about Madden too. I talked about Madden too. So I'm a sports guy. Don't know really to be quite honest, I'm not even totally sure what I'm really doing. But I did play through the game. I am level 50. I am in what they call the wealth of in-game content. I've watched some other people play it, read some reviews, watched people talk about it. And the most important thing that I want to say about this game is that it gives the hardcores something to do, and I think that's important. I think they figured out a way to give the hardcore players a lot to do, a lot of content, and then they still allowed the casuals to be able to feel casual in this game. Whether that makes us a good game or not isn't my point there. It's just I really think they did a really good job doing that. Rushing to in-game content is what most gamers would say to do, so you can see what the in-game is. Once you rush to the in-game content, it is really where the game pretty much starts. It really starts. I want to say it starts at like a couple levels before 50, but you start to really get the kicking in and seeing what you can go explore. Abundance of stuff, worlds, maps. They pretty much all replicate each other, but the challenge is the key. The feeling your power level go up in your character and fighting bigger bosses, mobs. That's what people want, and to be able to do it at your own level, I think, is what a lot of people call for in a lot of different games, especially games like this that have some kind of story and in game and blah 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 blah. I think they do a decent job with the PvP too. They just make it all skill based. You got to go out there. You just got to be better. You got to be maneuver, and I like that aspect of it. Totally fine with that. Biggest gripe for me though is the lead up to level 50. I just feel like if you're, I don't even know how to put it. It's really hard to. I feel like 50 was too long of redundant content. If you're saying in-game starts with an array of content at 50, why not just put it at 30 or 35 or 40? 40 would have probably been nice. If everything that I did at 40 started the in-game content, you just bring everything back. So you take maybe 10 hours off of somebody's playtime, or 9 or 8 hours, whatever that is, and you start that into the in-game push with like early in-game stuff. I think that would have been better. But I feel like everybody from at least 45 on, you feel like just get it over with. Just get me to 50. It was all redundant, doing the same. Talk to this person, talk to this person, talk to this person. Go fight them. Oh, stop here, pick this up, post this there, do that there, run in the dungeon, run out, boom, boom, boom. Oh, mix up something in the middle here. Oh, you got a ship. Now you can travel here. Oh, wait, when you travel here, you turn into a bug's life and you get tiny, and you trying to figure out, wait, am I still doing the main story, or am I doing something else? Am I actually progressing towards where I want to go so I can get to the in-game content? So that's the leveling process in this game is probably the worst I've ever done in any game. Once again, I haven't done a bunch of these. I haven't played World of Warcraft. I did some Final Fantasy years ago. Nothing in the new gen or new era. Nothing in the recent 15 years or something like that. So I may be a bad person to speak on it, but just I think everybody. I don't think there's anybody that could say they enjoyed level 10 to 50. Should have been about 10 to 40, maybe 10 to 35-ish, something like that. Pound you in some raids and dungeons and boost you. I don't know, something like that. But I played a lot of single-player games. That lead into, or a good amount of single-player games that lead into in-game content, things of that nature. And the story, for the most part, is fun and engaging. You do a little bit of different stuff, fighting different enemies. So, yeah. The other thing I do like about Lost Ark is that it does allow people to play in a solo. You don't have to play with people, and I think that's totally important. I'm not totally sure the game scales or how it does it, but it makes you feel good to be able to play by yourself if you don't really want to play with people, or don't have a microphone, don't want to talk, or you still, play the game at a nice pace, at a nice level, feel strong, defeat enemies. Overall, I think it's good. I think it has longevity. And as it's been out long enough now where they'll probably just keep adding content. They have the world set up and they can just keep piling into it. I think it's enough space. Maybe they can grow it. I'm not totally sure, but kudos to Smilegate on this one. I think it's a solid game, but unfortunately, you got to put hours into it. You have to put a bunch of hours into it to then decide if you want to keep playing it or not. It's free to play, so you can take your time doing that, or you may lose interest. Not really sure, but I think it's a good formula, and the people that it pulls in, it'll keep them in for a while. So that is that, and that is Play Some D number 41. Really consider before hitting that record button and getting this video jumping off. It is doing an all Super Bowl one. I almost did an all Super Bowl because I was a little especially last night. I was just down on the game's performance, especially in the second half, especially the ending with the flags. I hate flags, especially deciding the game, putting somebody at the 1 yard line. I have a whole video about NFL, NBA fouls and flags. Check that out. I don't know what episode that was though. So yeah, check them all out. I was just let down by the whole Super Bowl experience. Honestly, obviously, it'd have been cooler watching it in person, being in that environment. But also, like I say, you really want to be in an environment like that with I don't know, more of a fan. I'm not a fan, but you want to be in it with more than just. I felt like it was just only for people that had a lot of money to go, and they're just doing it just for the not clout, but just because they can. It's the it thing to do. It's the it event. It's the big event. I gotta be at the Super Bowl. I can afford it. I'm free. I should go. That's not me. So why would I be there? I would have been there watching the game, and from the third and fourth quarter would have been furiously frustrated to watch the game. Wouldn't have saw the commercials. At the game, you're not seeing the commercials. Would have been cool to see the halftime performance live, for sure. That would have been cool, for sure. The Canadian thing is interesting. It's just interesting that they picked that bridge and went 17 days strong on it. That's neither here nor there with, right or wrong. It's just interesting. And they were, protesting something, and they had a right to, and they picked a strategic place to do it. That's what. And then fourth quarter was a nice little video game review. Lost Ark, new release from Amazon Games and Smileygate. It released in the U.S. free to play on 11. Check it out if you want to have a little fun and explore another world and immerse a little bit. Pretty cool. That was 41. Thanks for watching. Sub, like, comment. Let me know how you feel about Lost Ark. All that stuff was like the Super Bowl, you like the commercials. I don't even know, but you can let me know. Because I already told you what I know. So I'm just saying, But no. Let's play some D. As always, variety is the spice of life. This was a varietal one that almost was a Super Bowl one. It was going to be called Play Some D Super Bowl edition. But gotta keep it to what I do. I wouldn't have felt right just talking all Super Bowl stuff. But I talked a lot of Super Bowl stuff. But anyway, as always, be cool, stay safe, keep it all the way together. And until the next one, Holla.